Hey, looks like we are coming through and connecting. Waiting for Facebook now just to connect in. So we are going to have a chat. I'll give you an update on what's going on with our live streams, and I've got a few Q&As that I thought would be worth going through as well. So welcome to those who have joined us. I appreciate it. Most important thing, I want to give you an update on what is happening with our live streams and everything, and just fill you in on the details. So come here and welcome to those who are just joining us. Just bear with me for 1 second. There is a little bit of setup involved in streaming to multiple platforms. So I'll have to investigate how we do that in the future. In particular, Facebook doesn't want to connect. Let me just try that. Ah, there we go. Looks like Facebook. Looks like Facebook's connecting now. Okay, hopefully you can all hear me okay on Facebook and over on YouTube. So welcome. Rod Moore here from the Learn to Paint Academy. Welcome, welcome. And I need to click go live. There we go. Okay, so now we should be coming through on Facebook, okay? So welcome to everybody on Facebook there. Rod Moore from Learn to Paint Academy. Glad to have you all with us here. And this is just going to be an update video, just a brief video, and it will also be a bit of a Q&A. I've been getting a few questions lately, so I thought I'd start doing a once a week or maybe once a fortnight Q&A session for you, just answering some questions that you may have. So I can see though that I'm on the wrong platform, so I'm just going to end that. A couple of technical challenges, but that's okay. We will sort them out. Let me just come back in here. So if you're watching me on YouTube or Twitch or Periscope, I do appreciate your patience. Let me just copy that. Just rework that, because I was streaming to the wrong platform. On Facebook, I was starting to stream to my personal profile, so I must remember to set it to Learn to Paint Academy, but it should be coming through in any second now. Just wait for that to update. So I've just got to get my head around how to set it up so that it all comes through at the right time. So update and Q&A. some reason Facebook doesn't want to play. Copy that. Control A to that. Save that. So if you are joining me on the other streams outside of Facebook, then I appreciate your patience while we just get started here. But if Facebook doesn't want to play real soon, then we are going to dump Facebook. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to dump Facebook. Come back in and go add platform. Facebook Live. Copy that. Push immediately. Save that. Hopefully now that'll get us coming through on Facebook. There we go. Facebook's now coming through. Okay, thank you for joining us. What is your I'm going to go through some Q&As, so I will chat about that the sod. So thank you for joining me. Appreciate everyone's patience. For those of you who were waiting patiently while I got Facebook set up, I think I need to work out how to broadcast properly to multiple platforms, but we're getting there. That's part of the reason why I wanted to do an update and a Q&A here today for everyone. So if you're able to join me, welcome. And if you watch it on the replay, then thank you very much. I've just finished, just 10 minutes ago, finished painting this little painting for Learn to Paint TV. And I've used a Monet painting as inspiration for it. You might know he was painting the poppies. So that's what I've used as the inspiration. So that'll be coming out on Monday. It's a good little painting. And, you know, as always, we've used the Moore method of painting for that. Simplified it right down. And haven't copied that's his original painting, right? So I use it as a inspiration. And we've modified it very much for our own ends, but it came up a really nice little painting. It's a little bit washed out with the lights here, so you're probably not seeing it in the best light, but it's a good little painting. So I just wanted to let you know that's coming out on Monday for Learn to Paint TV, and for members of the Learn to Paint Academy. If you're a full member or a monthly member, I'll get the full version of that up for you over the weekend, hopefully. But if not, first thing Monday morning. So look out for that. And I just want to do this video as a bit of an update and answer a few questions that I've been getting. So if you do have questions about anything to do with painting, while I'm on this Q&A, please type them in and let me know where you're watching from. But if you have questions, type them in and I'll answer them for you now. But you may have been following along with our live streams and getting our live stream studio here set up. So I want to give you an update on that. And I also want to thank the following people because when was it? A few days ago, I think, I put out an email and I also recorded the video, which was on my Facebook page there, talking about how we want to upgrade all the equipment in the studio here so that we can produce better quality videos for you and start to live stream, you know, at least a couple of times a week and do things like this, Q&A updates, things like that. G'day Yvonne, welcome, good morning. It must be early in Perth. Appreciate you joining me. Yeah, so I put out an email for that, and basically in the email I said there's an opportunity for you to become a lifetime member of the Learn to Paint Academy. Hi Catherine, welcome. Yeah, so that was in the email, and what I said in the email and the video that I recorded was, if you do take up the offer to become a lifetime member of the Learn to Paint Academy, you get it at a hugely discounted price, and you'll get all of our courses and all of our painting projects, and never pay anything again, and everything we add in the future, right? So, and what I said in the email was that I was going to use all of the money we raised from that little promotion to reinvest in upgrading all of our equipment for live stream broadcasting. And I wanted to be able to bring you multiple cameras and things like that I talked about on the live stream. So quite a few of you have taken up that opportunity, and I just wanted to thank you all personally. So far we've had Martha Bloomquist, Colin Brown, Pat Wargent, Frank Sudenlick, apologies if I got that wrong, Heather Bowers, Carla Heron, Vicky Cotterman, John Robertson, Josephine Latin, Margie Ferguson, and I think there's a couple of others which I'll make sure I get your names and thank you publicly, but you guys have all taken up the opportunity to become a lifetime member, and all the money raised as a result of that is going back into upgrading our equipment, which I'll talk about in a moment, which means we'll be able to start doing really top quality live stream broadcasts and give you multiple camera angles and close-ups and turn this into a really interactive experience for you. G'day, Valerie, welcome. You're in Budapest. Okay. No, you're not. Bow Desert. Oh, right. Nice. Welcome. Nan Caves, hello. Welcome. And Julia Smith in Georgia. Wow. Welcome. So, yeah, thank you, guys. So, yeah, those people I just read out, congratulations on taking up the opportunity to become a lifetime member. So it's a win-win-win, right? So you guys who have taken up that offer, you win, obviously, because you're getting lifetime membership at a discounted price. Hi, Judith. I'll come to your questions in a moment, so thank you for those. So if you've taken up that offer, you win because you get all of our courses at a big discounted price. Our entire community here at Learn to Paint Academy also wins because it means we'll have better quality equipment to be able to do better quality broadcasts and live streams and videos for you, and I think that's good for all of us, you know. So thank you very much, guys. I will keep that offer open for another day or two. For those who have maybe missed the email, if you need the link on how to join us to become a lifetime member and save money on that, then just message me through Facebook or rod@moreartschool.com. You can get me on that email address, and I'll send you the link if you want to take up the offer. I know not everyone's in a position to do that, but for those who have, thank you very much, and I greatly appreciate it. So over on YouTube, I'm getting a few questions come through, so I'll answer those. If you're on Facebook or anyone really who wants to ask me questions, I'm going to start doing a regular Q&A session because I think it's a good opportunity for you to get your questions answered. G'day, Miriam. Welcome. Welcome, Eileen. Miriam, that painting in the background, you joined us a little bit late, but that painting in the background, it's a little bit washed out with the lights, but that is next Monday morning's Learn to Paint TV episode, and it's inspired by Monet's painting the poppies, all right? So you may have seen that. It's a pretty famous painting. So there's a couple of sisters in the foreground there picking poppies in the field, and I've simplified it right down as we always do on Learn to Paint TV, make it as easy as possible for people. So look out for that on Monday. And let me just check out what questions have. So the Sod over on YouTube, the Sod, welcome. You've asked, what is your canvas preparation? Do you give more costs to store-bought single prime canvas or more coats? Good question, the Sod. I think it depends on the quality. The canvases I buy, let me show you. For the purpose of doing our videos and so on, I buy these. Now these are probably only available in Australia, right? Let me just come back to my camera. There it is there. So I buy these store-bought canvas, and these are mid-price. So they're not the cheapest. They're not real cheap canvases, but they're also not the best quality either. But because I'm doing them for the purposes of just doing videos and so on, these are fine, right? So this is what I use for teaching, okay? And if I have a look on there, let me just let you know. It's already triple coated with primer, right? Triple coated. Do I want to then go and add another coat? Probably not, right? Especially for the purposes of, teaching, doing videos and things like that. If I was doing it to go in a gallery exhibition, then maybe, right? But I do tend to look for pre-primed canvases wherever I can, because I think in the interests of efficiency, that makes sense to me. So the other thing that I do is I buy a roller canvas, right? So you can see on the back here, that's the unprimed surface there, okay? I'll just buy a big roller canvas on eBay, and then I cut it out to sizes to suit. So you can see that's what it looks like unprimed. And then if you look at the white section there, that's the prime version. So that's probably got 2 or 3 coats as well. I never put a coat of gesso on that. The only time I do it, the sod, is when I'm making up my boards. So if I have a look here, okay. So I will go and get MDF board, and then I'll put 2 or 3 coats of gesso on there, depending on how it soaks in. So I hope that answers your question, the sod. I feel kind of bad calling you the sod, but that's your name. So yeah, that's the answer to that. I generally don't pre-prime or put any gesso or anything like that on store-bought canvases. I make sure I buy ones that are, maybe have got 3 coats if I can. Thank you, Miriam. Kat, g'day Kat, how are you? From the UK, my question, is it possible to use oil paints in place of acrylics for painting a picture? Thank you. What is your charge to become a lifetime member? Kat, at the regular price, if you go to Learn to Paint Academy, it's $497 US. But at the moment, the special we're running, which was really a fundraiser to reinvest in all the equipment, which I'll give you an update on that in a moment, we're running that at $247 US. We're going to run that for another day or 2. So as I said, if you need the link, just let me know. Or if you want, I can put the link into the comments here. In fact, why don't I do that? It might be easier. Let me just find that. And that way, for anyone who's interested, you can have a look at that. Excuse me for 1 second while I find it. So yeah, ask any questions while we're chatting here. And I want to try and do this once a week if you guys enjoy it. And we'll try and do a couple of painting live streams, a couple of times a week as well. Now, just bear with me, and I'll pop that link in the chat here for you. G'day Blossom in Tampa, Florida. Welcome. It's a place I haven't been to, Florida. I'd like to get there at some stage. I've been to the US a few times, but Florida not yet. I'd love to get there. Catherine, what type of brushes do you use? Some brushes I've used don't seem to be too good. Well, brushes are always an interesting conversation, aren't they? I made a comment on a video recently over on YouTube that, it was my video about, it was the Art Studio chat video where I talked about 5 ways to blend acrylic paint better. And I made the comment that the brushes aren't that important, and somebody left a nasty comment for me, right? And I didn't mean that they weren't important. What I meant was the quality of the paint was more important. It was the most important factor in blending. So the brushes I use, these are cheap as brushes. And I haven't had to buy brushes for ages. I'm really hard on them. They're Jazz Art from China, right? A couple of bucks each. But the important thing is they've got fairly long handles, okay? I like that, but they're hog hair, or I don't know if they're hog hair, but they're bristle hair. They're natural hair brushes. And so why do I use natural hair brushes with acrylic? Because I paint in oils I paint in acrylics like I'm doing with oils. So when I learnt to paint in oils, I always use natural fiber type brushes. And when I've moved across to acrylic, here's that link, everybody. I'll pop it in the Facebook chat. If you're on YouTube, I don't know that I can do that. So feel free to message me or jump over onto Facebook. But that's the link if you want to take up the opportunity to become a lifetime member before we close that down. So I started, when I moved over to acrylic, I had been an oil painter and I was using natural hog hair bristle brushes, and I just kept using them, and I started painting in acrylics like they were oil paint. And a lot of people paint in acrylics like they're watercolor. They treat them in a different way. So they get synthetic brushes, which are soft. You know, the synthetic brushes are soft. These bristle hairs are really good because I do a lot of scrubbing, you probably noticed, and that's part of the reason why it's bent like that. So I scrub paint in, and it's great that way to get the little edges there. Trees, you know, trees are a challenge for a lot of people. If you have a look at the edges on my trees now, I know the lighting's bad, you'll see this when this comes out, but the little feathery little edges and soft little leafy type edges, they're not easy to achieve with a synthetic brush. And so being a landscape painter, these are ideal, right? So that's what I use, and literally these cost a couple of dollars. Now, having said that, there's different cheap hog hair brushes around, and you know, in Australia, so I can't speak for where you are, you have to experiment, but there are other manufacturers or importers of similar sort of brushes, but they fall apart, right? So I had to look for the right one that didn't fall apart. The only problem with these is they do fall apart here. Now that's probably my fault because I tend to leave them in the water a bit. They fall apart, but you know what I do? I just grab it and shove it back, and I get really good mileage out of cheap brushes. I really do. Now, if I was doing more detailed and refined work, which you know, it's not really my style, but in time, maybe we will, then I might move to a better quality brush and invest a bit more. But I think you're better off putting your money into the quality of the canvas and the quality of the paint, and the brush is secondary. I know artists who paint with credit cards and sticks out of the garden, you know. You can get the paint on any way you can, but the quality of the paint is what will stick around for decades to come, yeah? So I hope that answers your question. G'day, Louise. Welcome. Teresa, hi. New Brunswick, Canada. Go Canada. Thank you. Appreciate you joining me. So yeah, if you've got any other questions, fire away. Let me just check over on YouTube. G'day, Peter. Welcome from Lake Cathy. Oh, Judith Colvin, what colours can be mixed to make alizarin crimson? Now, that's a really good question. I wouldn't personally be mixing alizarin crimson. So what I would be doing, if you cannot find alizarin crimson, let me show you here. So I use Artilia Interactive, and it's not actually called alizarin crimson. It's called permanent alizarin. So there are different names for it. But what you really want is a cooler red that's a little bit transparent. So at the very least, a magenta will work, right? So you can substitute a magenta, and it's going to be slightly different. It's going to look slightly different. But yeah, if you can find a permanent alizarin crimson or a permanent crimson, then that's what I would get. Failing that, I would look for a cool, transparent or semi-transparent red. So a magenta, you know, fits that bill usually. So I hope that answers your question, Judith. I don't know how to mix alizarin crimson, to be honest. I think I wouldn't even be bothering. I'd be just looking for a substitute. If the brand of paint that you're using doesn't have alizarin crimson, look for the closest thing to it. So a cool red with a semi-transparent or transparency to it. Morning, Peter in Lake Cathy. Welcome. Yvonne, do you ever hold workshops? I'm in Brisbane. Yvonne, when I moved up to the Sunshine Coast, I was doing a few workshops, but I started suffering from some really bad back issues, and I'm working on getting that fixed. And I haven't been able to run the workshops. But what I will probably do is start to do them sort of middle to late this year. So if you're on our database, our email database, or connected on our Facebook, because that's where we publish our events, then you will find out about those. And you know, Brisbane would certainly be a good spot to do some workshops. Julia has asked, what do you think of grid method? Now, I'm going to assume, Julia, that you mean using a grid system to transfer an image off a photo. So if that's what you mean, then I think that's, you know, it's a valid way of doing it. I don't use a grid because I like my paintings to be a little bit loose. I do tend to paint a little bit loose and expressive. So if you were to look at that, in all of our TV shows, I go through how to take a photo. So I'm using the Monet one here, but you know, normally it's one of my photos. And I teach you how to actually break it down into big shapes and then how to draw that onto the canvas with no gridding. I think gridding, if you start to grid things up, like, and for those who don't know what she means, is drawing a grid on here of squares, and then putting that grid up onto there, and then working out what's in this square here and transferring that as a drawing up there. There's a lot of artists who do that, but the thing I don't like about that is it's a very very controlled way of painting, and I do like to be looser and more expressive. And I think maybe it was you, because somebody left a similar comment. Yeah, it was you, Judith, and I think I answered that on YouTube. You asked the question, do you lose your artistic flair? And I think possibly you do. And if you're going to grid it up, what tends to happen is you've got this very neat drawing, and so therefore you're going to be very careful about making sure you stick within your grid. So for me, it's not part of my personality or the way I teach, but I know it's a valid method for complex subjects and things like that. Yeah. So thank you for your question. I appreciate it. Tammy in North Carolina, g'day. Self-teaching, excellent. Well, there's so many resources now. I mean, I basically am self-taught. I didn't go to school to learn to paint. When I started, there weren't that many people on YouTube, and there weren't that many courses available like we have in the Learn to Paint Academy, but there were DVDs. I bought hundreds of DVDs and I wore those things out, right, trying to learn. And but the way you really learn is to have paint on a brush and a canvas, and that's the way you really learn, right? Good to get the info about fundamentals. You need to learn the fundamentals. You need to learn values, composition, color mixing, saturation. You need to learn those things, but then you need to get painting, and that's the best way to be a self-taught artist. Paint a lot of paintings. I think it was Kevin McPherson, who's a great artist in America. He said that you really need to do 1,000 paintings to start to get really good. Now he's talking about becoming a really great artist. He said 1,000 paintings, and he was being interviewed on a podcast, I think it was, and so the interviewer was like, 1,000 paintings, who's ever going to do that? But when he broke it down, he said, look, it's basically, you do one painting a day for 3 years, that's 1,000 paintings, right? It's a 3-year apprenticeship, and then you can become an excellent artist. And I think he's right. It's that consistency of painting. I had to do a small painting every day. This is the one we were playing around with on our live stream. Imagine if you did, say, that size, an 8x10, something like that every day, and it just became a habit. Within 2 or 3 years, you would absolutely progress and become a really good artist. So that's the path for a self-taught artist. Well, it's the path for every artist. Just because you went to university, did a fine arts degree, doesn't mean you're going to be a good artist, right? You need to put a lot of paint down, and that's really the key. Teresa, hi, New Brunswick. I think we've already said hi to you, but hi again. Do you plan your paintings, draw them out first, or use a photo, or do you just pull from your mind's eye? Good question. So, Teresa, you may not have been watching our weekly Learn to Paint TV, but basically I use my own photo reference. I take a lot of photos everywhere I go. I don't know where they all are at the moment. I tidied up the studio, can't find a thing. But I take all my own photos and I paint from those. And it's just been this week's episode up on the back board that's coming out Monday, where I thought, let's do something different. I've used a Monet as the inspiration, haven't copied it, but just the style and the feel, we've just used that for inspiration. So that's pretty rare. I've done that a couple of times, but mostly my own photos. But I'll tell you what, because I want to try and get a bit more variety into, I'm going to give you guys a sneak peek of what's coming up here because of the question Teresa asked. I'm looking to do more variety and different types of projects, especially in the live streams, right? So in the live streams, which we're going to start, I'm going to do more made up paintings, right? Just to explore different ideas. So I've got my sketchbook here, and I've just been, over the last, I'm not sure the best way to show you this, over the last week, I've just been sketching out different compositions, right? Different little projects for us to try, things like that. I don't mind doing those subjects. Little Bob Rossi, Bill Alexander inspired. So we're going to explore a few different things. Some country lane there. Palm trees, sunsets. So I've got a few ideas there that I've been mapping out. And they're purely made up, obviously inspired by different people like Bob Ross and that, but mostly made up. So in the live streams, I'll be playing around with some of those ideas. I do think it's worthwhile building your own photo reference and your own sketches and things like that for sure. Because I think that's part of being an artist. It's great that I can produce programs for you and live streams and you can copy those. But as you develop as an artist, part of being an artist is collecting reference material, right? So doing little small studies for bigger works, doing sketches like you just saw in my book. I often go out, I try and get out every week or two into nature and I get photos and I do, plein air painting for studies. So I think that's a really important part of as you develop as an artist. When you're beginning, then study all our courses, copy all of our projects, and get a feel for it and listen to what I say, but not too much because I talk too much. But as you develop and you get beyond beginner stage, you start developing a habit of collecting your own reference material. So Teresa, I hope that helps. Regina, what's the best to paint on, paper or canvas boards? Well, it depends on what sort of finish you want. I did I think it was January. I did a painting a day challenge for January, and I started playing around with painting on watercolor paper with acrylics. That was fun, and it depends on what sort of finish you want, really. If you mean by canvas boards, let me just show you. If you mean that type of thing, okay, where it's canvas on a cardboard and you buy them from the $2 shop, if that's what you mean, good for practicing on and learning on. But if you're going to put work into an exhibition or a gallery, I wouldn't use that. I would maybe get an MDF board and prepare that myself. But it really depends on what result you're looking for and what stage you're at. But you know what I think the best answer to that question is? Paint on everything, Sometimes I paint on paper, sometimes I paint on rolled canvas, sometimes I paint on board, sometimes I paint on stretch canvas. And I think try everything. And what will happen is over time you'll settle on something that you like best. Kimoko from Wisconsin, hi. I started watching late. Are you talking about oil paints? No, we've been talking about mostly acrylics so far, but I'm happy to talk about oil paints if you have questions. Thanks, Teresa. Sue. Hi, Sue. Nice to see you in your teaching. Thank you. Appreciate that. G'day, Bradley. How are you, mate? Thank you for joining me. Let me see if we've got any other questions over on YouTube here. Julia Smith, oh lordy. Okay. Not sure what you mean by that. Tammy, I wish I could finish one a day. Time is not on my side, but I continue to... Well, we've all got different capacity, haven't we? What I was talking about, Kevin McPherson, and he's painting a day for 3 years. That's for people who are really serious about what they're doing. If you want to become a professional artist, that's what it takes, right? So if you're doing it as a hobby or you just want to sell some art part-time in the local art show, you don't need to do that. I mean, there's no race, right? I paint pretty much every day because it's my full-time profession. I'm a full-time artist and art teacher. It's what I do every day. And I love it, right? But if life happens, life's busy, so I completely understand. And that's just when Kevin McPherson said that, he was being asked about how do I become, teach myself to become a professional artist. But we all have to chart our own course and find what works for us. Sirius Studio, hello. In the woods in Stratford, UK. Lovely place there. Love the UK. Can't wait to get back, especially up around York and places there. Oh, and of course, Cornwall. Yvonne, I found the cheap canvas boards have warped. Yeah, they do. And that's what I was saying. Was like, if you paint on those canvases attached to a cardboard, they're not very archival. They don't last for generations. So if you're serious about selling your work, then they're not the best place to paint. Okay, we've got that back. Can you all still hear me and see me? Hopefully I'm back. So sorry about that. The camera just died. So that's part of the reason why we're upgrading everything, yeah? Now, Kat, I think I may have overlooked your question. Is it possible to use oils instead of acrylics for acrylic paint? Absolutely, 100%. I've always said in our Learn to Paint TV videos that I paint in acrylics. You could just as easily do it in oils. And where I add a little bit of water to our acrylics to thin it down, you would add a bit of whatever thin medium or solvent that you use, right? And recently we did the water mixable oil course. So what I am recommending to people is that you use, or at least try out, the water mixable oils, right? Because you get all the benefits of traditional oil paint, you get the benefits of acrylic paint, and you get very few of the downsides. So I highly recommend water mixable oil paints. I am back, Bradley, yes. Sorry about the technical difficulties. So Kat, yeah, that's what absolutely, I always do, every one of our projects, I do it in a way that can be either acrylic or oil paint, okay? And the only difference is when I thin the paint down with a bit of water. In oils, you would use a solvent. But if you're using water mixable oils, guess what? You thin it down with water, right? Now you can buy thinners for water mixable as well. So Kat, I hope that answers your question, but the answer is 100% yes. However, when I teach the projects, it doesn't translate to watercolor. Watercolor is the reverse, okay? In watercolor, you go from light to dark, and what we do here at Learn to Paint Academy is we tend to paint from dark to light, okay? That's the big difference. So awesome that I was able to recover the chat stream. That's good to know. Okay. Yvonne, we've answered, yeah. Sure, Sheko boy, will you be doing any loose, more abstract paintings in the future? Now that's a good question because yeah, I showed some of my looser work that I do for my own painting, and I've had a lot of people ask the very similar question: will I be teaching that sort of looser, semi-abstract sort of landscape style? And we've decided that the next course I'm going to create is going to be called Loose, Bold and Expressive. Okay, so it won't be full abstract. It'll be showing you how I've been painting my paintings that are landscapes, still and seascapes, but they're a lot looser, they're a lot more expressive and bolder, bigger colours and so on. It's really about freeing up your mind more than anything, right? Now, this week or last week, I released the Art Studio chat video, and I talked about how to loosen up your painting. So go and check that out, and look out for the course that we're going to be doing. Absolutely, and of course, in our live streams, I'll be doing some looser. I mean, that's pretty loose. I mean, that was a test, but we'll be doing stuff like that, absolutely, yeah. And over time, I'm going to push the boundaries. We'll do a little bit more sort of decorative pop art for those who are interested in that, and we'll do more abstract art, and we'll find some middle ground with some still lives and floral work as well. So I'm really looking to expand everything that we do. So stay tuned, right? First step is to upgrade all the equipment, as we've talked about, and we just had a demonstration as to why we need to do that. Tammy, do the water-based oils dry faster? Good question. So let me explain that to you. And I go into this in a lot more detail in the water mixable oil painting course. But basically, like all oil paints, there's a two-step drying process. And the first step is the solvent dries off first. So if you're painting traditional oils and you're using, say, mineral turpentine to thin the paint down, the very first thing that dries is that solvent, right? So with water mixable oils, same thing, the water will dry out first. But because it's an oil-based paint, it will stay tacky. So it goes tacky is what happens. And then there's the normal curing time of oil paint. And some people say that's 6 to 12 months, but really it's touch dry within a couple of days, maybe 3, 4, 5 days. So it's a two-stage drying process, the same as traditional oils are, as opposed to acrylic, which bang, it's dry in here, it's dry in 10 minutes, right? So the beauty of it is when I teach water mixable oils, if you've seen the Learn to Paint TV show or any of our courses, then you'll know that I do step 1, my drawing. Step 2, we block in with a thin coat of paint. And then we pause and we go and have lunch, right? And then we come back, and by then it's given the water and the acrylic to dry out, but also water mixable oils, that water dries out, right? And then it goes tacky, and because it's tacky, we can then go on and put in our next layer. The only difference is with water mixable oil, those initial block-ins have to be thinner because you can't put thick paint over thick paint. So make sure your block-in's thin, all right? Hope that helps, Tammy. Spirit Girl, Byron Bay. Hey, love Byron Bay. I used to go to Byron Bay every year at Easter for the Blues Festival. That's going back 20 years ago, though. I was a young fella. This is great for me. I don't have to get up in the middle of the night. Yeah, most of our live streams we'll be doing, you know, if you're on the Australian time zone or Queensland time zone, I'm going to do around 8:30, 9 o'clock, somewhere around there, which works for most of the world as well. Hopefully we'll be showing, absolutely I'll be doing examples of painting, for sure. So if you've only just joining us for our live stream, over the last week I've been doing testing of all of our equipment. We're upgrading everything, and we're setting up a live broadcast studio where I can show you multiple camera angles and close-ups and really get into the details a lot more and improve the video quality of everything that we do at Learn to Paint Academy. So yes, we will be doing painting. If you're just catching up and just joining us, then what's happening at the moment is I'm reinvesting money into all the equipment, and we've just had a bit of a fundraiser drive with our members, and all that money is going back into our equipment. So within the next week or two, I'll have most of that set up and we'll be ready to go. And we'll definitely do Australian landscapes and trees. So that's one of my favourite subjects to paint. So thank you, Spirit Girl, and have a great day in Byron Bay. And how could you not, really? How could you not? Okay. So I've answered Kat's question. Hopefully, Kat, you heard my answer. Thanks, Sue. Thanks for joining us. Julia Smith, how do you hang your painting on the board? Okay. The painting, so it's on a stretch canvas, like so. Okay, stretch canvas. And on the board here I've got screws, and it just clips on over the top there. Okay. Now I have to tell you, it's not my idea. I copied that off Robert Hagen, who's a pretty handy Australian painter. I saw him do that, and when I wanted to start filming, it made sense because, you know, we used to have the palette up here. So that's why I set it up like that. Not necessarily the most ideal way of doing it. Definitely don't put your palette up here, right? So with the new broadcast studio set up, I'll be able to have the palette on a table. It'll be better for me to paint. So yeah, so that's all it is, Julie, just a couple of screws in the board there. Tracy, what can I use to finish off my acrylic paintings? How do you mean by finish them off? You mean in terms of varnishing them? Not entirely sure what you mean there, Tracy, so let me know. But I am going to wind it up. You can email me the question or leave it in the comments here and I'll come back and answer it. I'm going to wind up here. Just wanted to give you the update. We are very close now to investing in the equipment that we need to improve our live stream broadcast. So, as I said, overnight we had quite a few more people take up the offer for the lifetime membership, so thank you. And that all of that money is going back in. The first step is for me to buy a better quality computer. So as you saw, we just dropped out here because the computer's struggling to keep up. So I'll be buying that today. That'll come in next week. So by the end of next week, I'm going to do another test video, and we should pretty much be ready to go from there. And it's exciting, you know, because we will have multiple camera angles and close-ups and interaction, and you know, my passion has always been to help you guys out. So we're getting close. We're getting close, right? So I appreciate all your patience, and look out for this one, Monday's episode. If you're a lifetime member of the Learn to Paint Academy or a monthly member, you'll get the full-length version of that. But if you're not, that's okay. You'll still get the edited version, which will be out Monday morning. And it's a great little project, fun painting, and I think you'll enjoy that one. And thank you all for joining me. And just before I finish up, do you enjoy having these little Q&A type chats? Because if you do, I'll schedule them in as a weekly half-hour chat if there's interest. So let me know if that's something you'd like me to continue with. I'm definitely going to continue, obviously, with the Art Studio chat and the Art Biz show and our weekly TV show, of course. But if you enjoy this format, leave a yes in the comments that you'd like me to continue doing Q&A type chats as well, because I enjoy doing it. It's a good way to find out what questions you guys all have as well. So there you go. Thank you for joining me. Enjoy your day. Cheers, Catherine in Ireland. Thanks, Julia. Cheers for now, and I'll talk to you all soon. Thank you, Anne-Marie. Didn't know you were there on the call. Welcome. Good. I'm glad you enjoy it. I'll chat with you all soon, and pretty excited about getting all the equipment up and running and getting our live stream happening. So look out for it. Cheers.